店らしいで。That was a brief moment of how Sotenbori looks like, colorful and exaggerated atmosphere, and not to mention the grand, filled with rich, weight, and classy feeling from the 80s. And so, we were met with two guests who took a cab from Tokyo to Sotenbori to visit the grand during a business trip together. They both booked a table, talked to the hostesses about how this place used to be a big, sad, empty box, but somehow this manager bought it and brought it all the way to the top. During the conversation, an unexpected event occurred. Specifically, this customer who was a little bit too freaky towards a hostess. Unfortunately, he was too drunk to the point he had to use violence against the waiter. However, there was one person capable of handling the situation. That person was none other than the manager himself.
彼が申し遅れました。私、当店支配人の真島と申します。
お前が支配人やと？
え？あれが例の？
この店はヤクザが仕切っとんのかい？
お見苦しくて申し訳ございません。こう見えても堅気です。それよりもお客様、恐れ入りますが、当店でのお触りや暴力行為はどうかご遠慮願います。
気に食わんちゅうんやったら力ずくで来てみろや。その面こき落としけ。
そういうわけには参りません。お客様は神様ですから。
ほう、そらええ心がけやないか。お前さんのその心構え、気に入ったわ。
The way he dealt with his customer is incredibly professional and composed, without need to use violence to solve the problem. Even if he got wine poured on his head, Majima still remained in a calm state no matter what. Majima gave the customer one last chance to make the request, which request he has mentioned earlier. However, the customers insist on yapping too much, and so we were in for a show of a lifetime.
しゃあないのう。ああ、一丁景気のやれや。そこまでお客様がお望みなら、この真島、僭越ながらお相手いたしましょう。ただし、私からは一切手出しはいたしません。何しろ、お客様は神様ですから。
まだそんなこと抜かすか。なめおって。
さあ、ショータイムや。
後ろでございます。
お客様は神様やろうが。
そろそろよろしい。おしぼりはいかがですか？
After showing Majima hospitality to the customer, Majima calmly avoided attack from the customer, and the crowd really loved the way he dealt with him, transforming from a typical boring argument fight into an entertaining show. Before the customer, who was about to get marched to the cop, Majima requests the crowd for its attention to speak, wanting everyone in the grand to forgive the man for drinking too much, and the man that offered to buy every customer a drink as an apology for his action. And with that, everyone gave him and the customer an applause. The show comes to an end. Afterwards, Majima went out for a smoke. He noticed an old man staring at him like he's watching him, and Majima avoided eye contact with him and quickly headed back to his office. We didn't fully understand the context behind this cutscene, leaving us with a lot of questions that we don't know. In the office, he told the floor manager to give the girl a bonus for dealing with the customer and keep an eye out on that customer. But unfortunately, some of the staff seemed to be odd and Majima had to deal with it. Kane-chan realized her mistake for arguing with other girls in the club, and after what Majima says, she replied that she would change for the better. And this troubled waiter is worried for his father because he's sick and he didn't have enough cash for it. Majima gave him the cash to taking care of his old man. This is why I love and admire Majima. He cares for the customer, hostesses, and waiter, knows how to handle even the most chaotic moments with grace, always thoughtful and calm in every situation. He was about to check the hall. Suddenly, one of the waiters reported about a customer who placed an insane order and said that the manager would pay for him. Majima, without hesitation, followed the waiter's demand.
あれです。どうしました？なんでもあらへん。
おう？あんたは眼帯の支配人さんじゃねえか。酒は人の金で飲むに限るよな、まったく。
お客様、ちょっとお話があるのですが、ご足労願えませんでしょうか。
In the office, they both have a normal conversation together, and Majima seems to know him, and his name is... During the conversation, we noticed some keywords. Sagawa said that this is his punishment. Majima also talked about how much longer until he finally get back to the Yakuza, indicating he probably got kicked out from the Yakuza for a reason we don't know yet. But now we understand why Majima is working at the Grand. It is his way of paying back for the reason he was expelled from the Yakuza by working his way up, getting enough cash and cents to Sagawa every month for him to convince his brother Shimano to let him rejoin the Yakuza again. Sagawa, being a stubborn guy, he requests Majima to show him another 5 million. Then he'll have a chat with him. Majima, out of anger, throw a punch to his face, but it seems like he can't do it for some reason. Majima wants Sagawa to know that he will do whatever it takes to get him back to his Yakuza life. And then suddenly Sagawa said this line.
それが殺しでも。
Thankfully it was a joke, and so Sagawa took the money and also took Majima #1 hosted for another club that he's running. She was the crown of the Grand and the boost of Majima income. Without her, things would be harder for the Grand and his income. After hearing all that, Majima kicks the trash bin to release his anger. Floor manager comes to report that the #1 girl is gone, and so Majima needs a new girl to help his income in the Grand. He asks him who is the hottest hostess from the other club that they don't have.
オデッセイののぞみちゃんがダントツでしょうね。オデッセイ自体がうちのライバルみたいなものですし。
Majima heads out the Grand and on his way to Odyssey. Suddenly, he got stopped by an old man who called himself Sometaro Komeki. Komeki want to fight Majima because he sends his aura and want him to do the honor. Majima accepts his request. And this is our first look on Majima's own fighting style. Dog. Dog style is the balance between offense and defense, offer a quicker agile fighting style with good mobility when it comes to dodging, perfect for one-on-one situation. This style also allows Majima to attack enemy blind spot and weak points and chain together a variety of attacks, making the combo fluent and his combat flow smoothly and efficiently. Not to mention the swag and flashy heat action too. After defeating Komeki, we get a chance to explore Sotenbori. The detail of the streets are filled with windy streets, alley, and main road. This complexity creates a rich, immersed environment that feels so alive. Not to mention, especially the nighttime, the neon sign, advertisement, and storefront give the place a vibrant, chilling, colorful vibe and atmosphere, making the game stand out the most. For a 2015 game, it still holds up pretty well to this day. After a few sightseeing to Sotenbori, we reach our destination. Majima put on disguise to get some info on where Nozomi is. He books a table, scoping the place, and whatever the crap even is this, we get to meet our hostess, asking her a few questions, and then suddenly the owner of Odyssey caught it. Majima openly admit to Yamagata that he won Nozomi. In returns, he would change or trade some of his hostess for him to get Nozomi. And he also wanted to give 10 million in cash for the place for collaboration business together to increase their incomes. Yamagata agreed to Majima's deal. He got Nozomi, and Yamagata got Majima's support. And so Majima head home for tonight. On his way home, Majima stumbled upon some arguing noise. He come to check on what's happening. Suddenly, the sharp-eyed man deal with the thug with style that make Majima have an inspiration development fighting style. Before he tried not to get involved, Majima got caught by Komeki. Komeki noticed Majima look at the sharp-eyed man, which his name is Fei Hui. He wanted Majima to understand and learn how to use the style. Majima developed a new second fighting style, Slugger. Slugger style is a combat style that focuses around using a baseball bat by just holding a freaking nunchucks. It's also high offense, excellent for taking multiple enemies from wild spring, with high damage output from the baseball bat, and defense when it comes to guarding and parrying enemy attacks. But let's focus on mobility and agility, making dodging attack pretty slow and inconsistent, with heavy and powerful heat action. Also allowing to master all the weapons too. Anyway, after Majima learned his second style, he head home. When he get there, some random thugs waiting for him to strike because they didn't like what Majima said to the Odyssey owner, mocking him, knowing that Majima would never hurt anyone in the club. But these stupid ass thugs forgot one thing. It only applied to Majima customer, and these thugs ain't his customers. After the beat up, them thugs got scared and run away. And Majima can finally rest in his home now.
この町は牢獄や。俺が塀の外に出られんのはいつなんやろな、兄弟。
Remember the old homeless man from the beginning? Where we didn't understand why he was looking at him? Now we know. These four men is like a camera that keep an eye out on Majima the moment he says the city's a prison. Meaning that this is the punishment that Sagawa told us about. Majima stuck in Sultanbori for a long time now. If he attempt get out of Sultanbori, he will get into trouble. Just like a prison, a gilded cage. We get to see Majima brother Tiger Saitama. They both plan to hit on Yoshiharu Ueno and Sera clan. Unfortunately, Majima was told not to go with Saitama from Shibata. Majima released his anger, didn't want to listen to anyone, and didn't want to leave his brother alone, and says that he needed to get to Saitama. He was against Shibata's order, which made him get into trouble. Chains, pains, and torture for hours. And this is where we know the reason why Majima wears an eye patch. After Majima was held in a cage or prison, tortured by his own boss, Shimano, Majima begs his boss to tell him, but his response never came. Understanding Majima's past was heartbreaking. From having a normal Yakuza life with his brother and then suddenly lose it all in a flash, suffering from pains and torture for months, maybe years, by his own boss, and got kicked out from his Yakuza life afterward. Suddenly, because of the flashback, Majima woke up and it was all just a nightmare in his dream. And so he heads for the Grand for today's work as usual. When he arrived, talk about usual business, suddenly Sagawa called Majima, inviting him for a talk and a drink. Despite Majima not wanting to go there, Majima knew he had no choice but to go either way. When he get there, he understands what Sagawa's motive is, but didn't quite figure it out what it is. Sagawa talk about why Majima got expelled, let out and be forgotten, but Shimano want him to keep an eye out on Majima as a civilian pet. Sagawa asked why Majima wanted to go back to Tojo clan so badly, despite everything that has happening to him, and knowing that Majima wanted to get back because of his brother Tiger Saitama. Majima said he just want to be in the Tojo clan when Saitama get out of prison, no matter what. Suddenly, the conversation turned 360-degree around when Sagawa cut to the point and says this.
お前、人を一人殺せるか?
This shocks Majima. Sagawa said if you wanted to join back to Tojo clan, you had to prove yourself loyalty to the family by taking someone's life. This basically means a test for him whether if he will do it to get back to the family or not. Not to mention, he also made things more harder for Majima if he doesn't accept his request, by making his business even harder to get the cash and income. Sagawa mentioned a man's name Makoto Makimura. He run a prostitution ring here in Sultanbori, snatch young girls, college students, and put into work and take all the profits. He didn't know where Makimura is, but does give Majima a hint that he has his girls use telephone club to hook. Majima have 2 days to finish the job in order to get back to Tojo clan, or he'll be the target, maybe possibly gone. After the conversation, he gets some rest for tonight. The next day, he headed to the telephone club to find information on Makimura. After 90 minutes later, he talked to a girl named Ako, trying to mood her up, and then he mentioned about who Makimura is. She was shocked. This is a jackpot moment for Majima. So to avoid her not to hang up on him, he had to fake be an article and want to write about him. When he heads out, suddenly it's the freaky guy from Odyssey who calls himself Walking Erection. And they both have a freaky conversation together. I don't know how to write this part, so you get the idea. Anyway, the two meet up on Awano Bridge. Majima, a professional, knowing how to fake being a popular journalist pretty well to keep Ako not growing suspicion on, although she didn't want to talk about Makimura unless she gets something in return like sushi, UFO catcher, and disco. While walking to the disco, Majima and Ako got blocked from the bridge. With nothing to do, they had to wait for them to be done. Komeki suddenly walk out thin air, talks about these kids doing rituals called breaking dance to settle disputes by dancing. Majima still didn't know why they did that, and so the punks began breakdancing with style that made Majima have an inspiration development fighting style. Although Majima still haven't understood how to apply it in terms of fighting yet, he'll figure it out later on. So the path is clear. Majima and Ako head to the disco. While Ako was having fun at the disco, suddenly some thug came out of nowhere and harassed and threatening her. This sparked Majima, allowed him to try out that breakdancing crap he saw on the bridge as a training practice to learn his new fighting style. Majima developed a new third fighting style, Breaker. Breaker style is a flashy dance-inspired combat style. It offers high offense when it comes to crowd control, long and fluent combo chain, dealing consistent damage to enemies, a wide range of sweeping attacks, spinning moves, and screaming Yahoo! Every single time, and high mobility and agility, allowing him to dodge and wade through enemies' attack like a smooth criminal. But in exchange, less defense in terms of guarding and parrying enemies' attack. Because Majima protection, she returned his kindness by give of information about Makimura location. The way she described him isn't like what Sagawa described, more like the opposite. Makimura run a clinic and actually protecting the girl who worked on the street and never asked anything in return. But there's only one thing he does ask about the girl to return the favor, that they should let him know if anyone have a bad tattoo. Majima understand who Makimura really is thanks to Ako, but leave Majima with confusion as to why Sagawa would describe him in the opposite way. After the conversation, Majima head to the clinic to find Makimura.
ここやな。
When he headed inside for a strike, Majima didn't see anyone at the clinic, so he decided to come back later. But then suddenly, someone walked in the clinic.
どなたですか？あれ、お客様ですか？おかしいな。すみません。誰かいらっしゃってますか？
なんやこいつ目が。
もう ドア開けっぱなしで出かけちゃったのかしら。
違うや、俺は客やって聞けや。おい、ええから聞けや。泥棒やったらとっくに逃げとるわ。落ち着けやな。
どこにいたんですか？
俺は今店に入ってきたとこや。いきなりあんたがすごい勢いで突進してきたもんやから避けきれんかったんや。ビビったのは俺の方やで。
でも今日の予約はもう入っていないはずです。
そうなんか？いや、実はもう体がバラバラになりそうなくらい辛くてな。そしたら知り合いにこの店の店長の話聞いてな。なんやゴッドハンドっちゅう噂らしいやんか。せやから飛んできたっちゅうわけなんやけど。おい、
すみません、怖くてすみません。
ええんや。で店長はおらんのか？
今日は出かけて帰ってきません。すみません。
なんで謝るんや。わかった。とにかく出直すわ。
本当にすみません。
泣くなや。
どこがお辛いんですか？さっき体がバラバラになりそうって治療されるなら早く予約をされた方が。
ああ、それはもうええんや。ほなまだな。
やっぱり
違う言うとるやろが。ほら分かった。お姉ちゃんにやってもらおうかな。それなら納得してもらえるか？
During the massage, Majima had to keep his identity clear by faking it and trying to get some info out of her boss. She talked about how grateful she is to Makimura because he saved her. The spies still don't understand why Sagawa ordered to take down Makimura. He had to meet him in person, see it for himself. Because how amazing the massage were, Bro took a nap. Suddenly, her boss entered the clinic. Noticing that he has a new client, so he came in to check. But he noticed Majima have a tattoo on his back, indicating that he's a Yakuza, which grew suspicion. He sent the girl out to buy him something to protect her.
はよドス取ったらどうや、固めのあんちゃん。
こういう状況も慣れっこっちゅうわけが。牧村誠さんよ。
そんな前どこで聞いたんや？
どこもかしこもあるかい。テレクラで引っ掛けた女使うて派手なリサーチかましとりゃ名も売れるわ。
ほう、いろいろ調べてきたようやな。
なんや、ずいぶん余裕やな。
近江の鉄砲玉がなんか知らんが、的の店で気抜いとるような年郎の殺し相手ならなおさらや。悪いことは言わん。このままおとなしゅう帰れば見逃してるで。 引く気はないか。ならゴッドハンドの大サービスや。行くでー。ああ。
After a long fight, the two decided to go for round 2, but the door was suddenly opened by a group of Yakuza walking in, asking where Makoto Makimura is. Majima is confused. He thought he was standing right in front of him, but the Yakuza thug suddenly called him by his real name, Wei Hai Lee. Majima was surprised that he's not Makimura. When the girl came back, Lee got no choice but to call her by her name.
Makoto.
Majima's shocked knowing that the blind girl is Makimura. Lee saved Majima from getting shot and also got himself shot multiple times. He asked Majima to protect her from the Yakuza. Majima is still processing what's going on, but getting Makoto is his #1 priority. After that, he beat the low-level thug and chased down Makoto to help her. Despite not knowing Makoto much, Majima is willing to take the risk for himself to keep herself safe from the Yakuza by hiding in plain sight, guiding her away by holding her hand because she's blind, and protecting her from the Yakuza no matter what. Suddenly, he got caught up by the Yakuza at the clinic. But Majima took them no sweat and asked them who are they and why are they after the girl.
お前そんなことも知らんとあの女をどうこうしようとしてたんか。
なんやと。
お前は何も分かっとらん。あの女の価値を。
Majima still didn't understand what he meant by what she is worth, and then after the Yakuza passed out, Majima took Makoto to somewhere safe where there's no one can find her and chase her.
「ここまで来たら大丈夫やろ。お前大丈夫か？おい、何を？なんや？大丈夫や。
店長は。
心配すんな。奴も逃げた。すぐに会えるはずや。
本当に。
あ
あ。どうしてこんなことに。ここは？
ええから入れ。
ちょっと
座れ。
ここって
倉庫や。古いソファやらそこら中積まれとる。うろうろしたら怪我すんで。
何があったんです？なんで私がこんな。
そりゃこっちのセリフや。ヤクザ連中が名指しでお前狙おうとる。心当たりないわけないやろ。
そんなこと言われても。
牧村誠という名前はテレクラの女どもによう知られとる。そいつはコウモリの入れ墨の男を探しとるらしい。その牧村誠はお前なんか、それとも名前語っとった店長の方か？
それは。
お前なんか、せやったらそれがヤクザに追われとる理由か？
知りません。私は何も。あなたは誰なんですか？
あ？俺か。しょうもない男や。人一人殺すこともできん最低の。
最低の何？
殺し屋や。
嘘。
牧村誠を殺せとだけ言われたんや。相手が目の見えん女とは知らされんかった。けどお前を狙ってたんは俺だけやなかった。お前って何者なんや？コウモリの入れ墨いうのは何や？なんでそいつを探っとった？いや、
リーさんに合わせて。
あの店長はお前さらいに来てヤクザに撃たれた。
撃たれた？でもさっきはすぐ会えるって。
安心せえ。あの男何者かわからんが、撃たれる時ちゃんと急所外しとった。あの出血ならしな。
本当に？
用が済んだらあの男に会わしたる。けどその前に知ってることを洗いざらい話してもらうで。牧村誠。
Makoto asked why Majima didn't take down her. Majima himself didn't even know what to do at this point, and also says,
どの道お前生かしとることがバレたら、お前も俺も俺の雇い主に消される。
but Majima want to know why everybody want Makoto dead. he might actually be able to fix this crazy situation between her and the Yakuza. He asked her about the bat tattoo, but unfortunately, she didn't know anything about it and says that we need to ask Lee. And so, we have to find Lee's whereabouts. Majima, grateful to Yamagata for his warehouse to keep Makoto safe in exchange of its favor. He also says we need to take a visit to the cabaret club if we have free time for more understanding of the place, because he never once visited there before. But before that, we need to find Lee. We check in Hokuzi Kaikan, suddenly stumble on a Chinese man. Scared of being hurt, he gave away Lee's location to Majima. A Mahjong Palo. God, I hate this minigame so much. When Majima arrived, we can see Lee is alive but patched up with bandage. Lee, understanding that Majima would never harm Makoto because he know he had never taken down anyone before by the looks of it. Before Majima get to talk about the bad tattoo, the Chinese man brought his friend to protect Lee. Lee wanted to see if he's strong enough and worth being trusted. Majima easily defeated all the Chinese men. After that, Lee said Makoto does know about the bad tattoo, but she doesn't like talking about it herself. Lee also said the reason why she was blind is because of the man with a bad tattoo. She was bought by the Korean mafia, which made her become a slave, which is the guy with the bad tattoo, and it gave her nightmare to the point that she became.
ただ、あの子の目が見えんようになったのはそれが原因や。極限状態のストレスから来る心因性視覚障害。
He rescued her and has been protecting and taking care of her for 6 months, and also been searching for the man ever since to teach him a lesson. This is all Lee could tell Majima about, because he also had no idea why the Yakuza are chasing her down. Fortunately, Lee seemed to have a plan that can prevent Makoto from getting harmed by the Yakuza. But Lee won't tell him the details until he locks in with his plan first. Majima agrees to team up with Lee because if he won't, he'll die anyway. So Majima head back to take care of Makoto while Lee come up with a plan. When Majima get back to Makoto, he told her that Lee was alright and she knew that Majima heard the whole stories of her. This made her become sad. When she cried, Majima wanted Makoto to understand that she isn't alone in this situation and wanted to relate to her story. Torture, lost his eyes, but that doesn't seem to cheer her up. He asked her if she's hungry and go up to buy her some takoyaki.
Oh, 買うてきたで、たこ焼きや。
ありがとう。
少しは落ち着いたんか？
While the two were eating and talking about Majima's eyes, Majima saw Makoto wearing a watch.
なんやお前、時計しとるんか？見えへんのに、けったいなやっちゃ。
まあね。でも可愛いでしょ。
せやから見えへんのやろちゅうとるやろが、まったく。
わかってるよ。でもね、これオルゴールの曲が鳴るの。それがまた可愛くって癒されるんだ。
うん？どないの音や？
今は鳴らない。だって時計が壊れてるから。
なんやね
ん。でも捨てられないものってあると思わない？他人から見れば全く意味がないけど、自分にとってはなんだかすごく大切っていうか。目が見えなくなって時間もわからなくなって時計も壊れて音も出なくなって だから分かってるよ、そんなもの必要ないって。でも私がまだ元気だった頃の証なの。それを捨てちゃったら私は本当に。
お前。
でもまたあのオルゴールの音聞いてみたい。
わかるで。
え？
捨てられんかったら持っとりゃええ。持っとりゃきっといつかええことある。
いつかいいことか。
ん？どないした？
やっぱり違うよね。そんなものにこだわってるから、いつまで経っても私には現実が見えてないんだ。
おい。
いいの、ありがとう。あなたの気持ちは嬉しいよ。感謝してる。
After she took off her watch because she didn't seem to need it anymore, Majima picked up her watch and kept it in his pocket for a reason we don't know yet. He told her about Sagawa, although she didn't know who that is, but she know that he is the one blackmailing Majima into this mess. Majima told Makoto that he needed to get back to the Grand for work, which Makoto understand. On his way to the Grand, Majima met the guy who's standing in front of the cabaret club that Yagamata mentioned. And oh boy, I'm going to summarize this whole sub-story as fast as possible because it's not related to the main story whatsoever, but it's worth talking about. So the story goes, Majima met this manager who called himself Yoda. Unfortunately, there was some drama with the other clubs who called himself the 5 Star. Yoda business is dropping downhill. Majima understands the situation and wants to put a stop to the 5 Star. Will keep harassing and threatening to Yoda, protect the clubs, and find a way to get the #1 girl from the 5 Star club to join Club Sunshine by having a cabaret minigame fight with the 5 Star where he dressed up woman looks and appearance, and if he beat up the he'll get the #1 girl to join the club. And then there's another girl who I don't know what her damn name, wanted to get the grand herself, so she sent 4 whatever these guys are to beat Majima, but they suck, so Majima win. But after defeating 4 of them, somehow Majima had an inspiration development fighting style, and this time it's no longer holy shit, but holy shit, I'm rad! Majima developed his own fighting style, the Mad Dog style. Mad Dog style is a combination of his 3 regular styles, the flashiness of Thug, the weapon mastery of Slugger, and the unpredicted movement of Breaker. All 3 of them combined together becoming one of the most aggressive, relentless fighting style. The style is all about overwhelming enemies with high speed, strong power, and unpredicted move, making one of the most dangerous and chaotic person in the fight, which reflects Majima Mad Dog side. Anyway, after he's done with the cabaret club, Majima head to the Grand. There he is met with the Chinese dog who informed Majima to meet up with Lee. Before he was about to get back to his home, he was greeted by unexpected visitor. None other than the duck from before. They wanted to take revenge for what Majima did to them, but they underestimated him. After the fight, Sagawa asks if Majima is in trouble and progresses on Makoto. But Majima ain't got time for chit-chat, so he heads back to his home. Lee told Majima that Sagawa has his family tailing him and don't want Majima to reveal where Makoto's location is. So he pinpointed a hidden spot where Majima can sneak through without being seen. So Majima slipped through the warehouse unnoticed. Before they discussed, Lee had to put something that would make Makoto go to sleep because she didn't want her to know about his plan. Apparently, Lee found another girl who looks exactly like Makoto, and he wanted Majima to take down her. He mentioned that this girl is the reason why most of the guys who fall for her die suspiciously. She's a monster, took their money and destroyed their life. So, he thinks she deserved to be gone. Majima didn't want to agree with Lee's plan and wanted to know how in the hell Lee can come up with this. Until Lee said this.
わしも元はあんたと同じ殺し屋や。
Lee took a job running a race on some Korean mafia 6 months ago. That's where he met Makoto. Reach out in the dark for his hand, not letting go. It reminded him of his daughter, who was also blind like Makoto. Lee was willing to do anything to protect Makoto like his own daughter. Lee trying to convince Majima to help him out, but he didn't want to. With the two not agree with each other, they once again lock in and ball out for round 2.
死ねや真島！
After Majima win the battle, Lee begged him to help him out because this is the only way to keep Makoto alive. But Majima refused to accept his plan. Lee breaking down to know what to do next. Majima takes the uniform that Lee planned, goes outside, and rethink about what has happened. He trashed the uniform and head home. Out of nowhere, a mysterious man in a red suit came, picked up the outfit that he trashed in the dark. We don't know what his plans are. The next morning, Majima come to the Grand, receive a message from Lee telling to come meet with him. He heads to his clinic and then the rest is history.
おお、真島。よう来た。待っとったで。
おちょ待て。何興奮しとんねん。
そら興奮するに決まっとるやろ。
な
お前水草やないか、たった一人で。せやけどこれで一件落着や。ようやったで、真島。
何の話や。
何って、お前やったやろ、あの写真の女。
今日未明、蒼天堀川で発見された若い女性の遺体は、身につけていた衣類などから牧村誠さん20歳とみられます。遺体は損傷が激しく、大阪府警では牧村さんが何らかのトラブルに巻き込まれた殺人事件であると断定。捜査本部を設置し、
なんやこれは。
おい、お前がやったんちゃうんか、あの写真の女を。
俺はやっとらん。やるわけないやろ。
せやけどお前、死体は昨日お前が持ってった誠の服着とったで。
なんやと。
朝店にデカが来てな、身元確認や言うて死体の写真見せられたんや。顔は潰されとったが服は間違いなくお前に渡したやつや。はい、大口会館です。ああ、お前にや。
変わったで、真島や。
わしからのプレゼント受け取ってもらえたか。
何の話や。
決まっとるやろが、牧村誠の死体や。
なんやと。
あの子はこれで死んだことになった。あんたの雇い主もこれで納得やな。あんたが消される心配はもうないっちゅうわけや。感謝してもらうな。
お前何もんや。目的は何や。
取引したいんや、あんたと。
何わけわからんこと。
実は今な、あんたの店で飲ましてもろてんね
ん。お前グランドに。
いや、もうちょっと。
ええ店やな、真島君。わしここ気に入ったで。今から一緒に楽しもうやないか。あんたも早おいで。
After the recent unexpected event just now, Lee and Majima are concerned about the situation. Majima received a call from the man who took out Makoto double body. He's waiting for him at the Grand. Majima heads to the Grand to understand who this guy really is and what are his motives.
まあまあ座ったら。たまには自分の店で飲むんもええもんとちゃうか。
何もんや。
わしゃな、鬼人会中看板掲げさせてもらってるNishitaniってもんや。
鬼人会。
こっちの欲しいもんは分かっとるやろ、真島君。牧村誠ちゃん。あんた、あの子どこに隠しとんのや。
He wants to trade for Makoto Makimura in exchange because Nishitani took out Makoto's double body just for Majima. Nishitani is unlike other Yakuza. He didn't want to harm Makoto, but rather want to have a nice friendly conversation instead. Which Majima isn't buying his yapping, so Majima asks why did he wanted the girl. Nishitani won't talk about it unless she fights him. Majima couldn't do it. Dirty the rule applies to Grand. The customer is king, which he can't fight the customer. Nishitani becomes a genius, using his brain by calling the cops, telling them that he's a robber. Majima have no choice but to throw hands with him in the Grand.
ほな行くで、マジマ君。がっかりさせんなや。
After we defeated him, Nishitani didn't give us any information at all, but he expected Majima to return to him once again. Once he returned to the office, Sakawa was waiting in the office, wanted to ask Majima a few questions as to why he didn't do the ABC, always be in contact with him after take down Makoto, and why Nishitani is causing a mess in the club. Majima had to lie about the situation by saying he's forgot. Sakawa believed every Majima answer and will speak to his brother Shimano to put Majima back to his Yakuza life once more. Knowing that Majima is nervous that Sakawa will find out about it, he asks out to be stumbled by the Chinese dog telling him to bring these pills to Lee. Without hesitation, he quickly goes to the warehouse to get Lee the pills and to tell both that Lee and Makoto should get out of Sotenbori as soon as possible. When they are about to leave, the Chinese dogs are yapping about what Lee said, that the only thing that keeps you safe is money. Basically, he sold us out. The doctor didn't expect them to hurt him, but they did. Majima has to fight through these four men that have been keeping an eye out on him for so long to make way for Lee and Makoto to leave Sotenbori. After defeating the four men, Lee wanted to save the Chinese dog. Despite him being a snitch, Lee wanted Majima to take Makoto to the clinic where he has a van that could take them out of town. When they headed out, they were met by Yakuza thugs who stopped them from going any further.
お前ら佐川に伝えるや。俺らはこの町を出るぜ。どないした。はよかかってきたらどうや。俺を止めてみろや。
Majima escorted Makoto by hiding, protecting, and fighting to keep her safe from the Yakuza once again. Once the three met up, Lee was the first in the van to prepare the engine. However, there's a bomb that Rick insists when the engine is turned off. Once he turns off the engine, the van instantly explodes, flinging Majima and Makoto out by the explosion impacts, and Lee is gone.
なんやと。おい。お前。しっかりせえ。誠。
お前さ、ひどいよ。なんで俺に嘘ついちゃうの。悲しいじゃん。俺にこんなことさせんなよ。今度は俺もちゃんと約束守るつもりだったのによ。女殺したら島野のとこに戻してやるって約束したもんな。なのになんでこんな真似すんの。嘘つかれたらお前のこと助けてやれないよ。もう殺すしかなくなっちゃったよ。でもいいよな。二人一緒に殺してあげるから。
なんだこれ。誰やお前。
After Sagawa saw Makoto was captured by the white suit man, who we didn't know his name, he brings Majima to a warehouse to torture him. Although he wanted to take down Majima because of his lies and betrayal, he knows he can't find Makoto without Majima, so he needs to keep him alive for a while. After release, Majima asks why is everybody keep targeting Makoto. But Sagawa doesn't even know or understand why his brother Shimano is asking Majima to take down her at the beginning. There's one thing that keeps bugging Majima out. The man in the white suit doesn't seem like he wants her dead, but rather keep her alive. Like what Nishitani said, Sagawa suggests Majima to check out the Kijin clan office for clues on Makoto's whereabouts, and also warn Majima if he betrays him once more times, he will surely be gone. Majima headed to Kijin clan asking the thugs where Makoto Makimura is, but they don't feel like giving him any information, so violence is the only way to get them to talk. Unfortunately, they don't know who is this stick up the arse that took Makoto and why Nishitani wanted her so badly, but they did ask that we need to find a person named Billy Keane, a detective who might be able to help Majima get into the joint to talk to Nishitani at the Bishamon Bridge. Once there, Majima asks if he can get to talk to Nishitani. The detective denied his offer because Majima mentioned that he's Nishitani's enemy. But after a brief look at Majima, the detective wanted to have a drink with us. During the time they were having a drink at the pleasure bar, we get to understand Nishitani's past. Billy Keane adopted Nishitani. How did Nishitani look like when he was a kid?
幼稚園に入る頃にはスリと置き引きも覚えとったの。小学生でカツアゲ、中学生で車嵐、そんなガキやったな。人を刺して殺したんが奴が高校の時やったな。
He was literally born to be a Yakuza, but something's wrong. The cruise suddenly stopped suspiciously, and before we know it, we're being lowered into the depth below, into a place where it's called
Sanzu no Kawazoku ya.
The tunnel was built during the war. Billigan saw this and took the opportunity to make a few changes, and eventually, after he opened the gate, there's a whole underground fighting ring. This place where Billy Keane take all the criminals around the world that are strong to fight in the ring, and whoever wins a fight for a whole 1 year gets a chance to be free. Billy Keane wanted Majima to fight through 3 months so he could earn the detective trust to bring him to meet with Nishitani. Because matches are getting stale and people's wallets seem to die down, so he needed Majima to spice things up in the ring to keep the place up and running. Majima, without hesitation, accepted the challenge.
Versus Goro Majima! さあ、時間無制限、ルールなし。Ready? Fight!
You must die.
キリヒトマジマゴロ果たして2連勝なるか。さあ時間無制限ルールなし。レディーファイト。Horde は裁けない悪魔の拳。出た ットバンチャー。さあ、サンズの川を渡ることになるのは一体どちらだ。時間無制限、ルールなし。 It's show time!
Bring it on.
Congratulations, Goro Majima!
All three of them were in a match for Majima, and so after the match, he agreed to help Majima out. But before that, he wanted Majima to hear the rest of Nishitani's past story. Nishitani has a reason as to why he did all that to that kid. Because that kid took Billy King's daughter at a young age. Unfortunately, because he was a minor, he wasn't given any course or hard time. He knew Billy King would hurt, so he had to bring justice back. Given by the story, we get to know more about Nishitani as a person. He is batshit crazy, sure, but then again, he did everything for a reason that only he knows is the right way to do. After the conversation, Billy King takes Majima to meet up with Nishitani. Pays some money to keep that car by helping out his daughter college.
すみません。おい。
こらこらこら。真島君やないか。どないしたん？万引きでもしたんか。
お前に会いに来たんや、西谷。
ほんまに嬉しいわ。ちょうどわしも真島君に会いたい思っとったとこなんやで。
せやけど俺はそないなようで来たんとちゃう。誠がさらわれた。やったんはお前か。
なんや、仕事の話かい。
誠さらったんは白いスーツの見たこともない男や。お前の仲間やないんか。
わしにそないな友達はおらんで。
なんやて。
せやけど予想はつく。わしでも真島君でもない第三の勢力や。
第三の勢力？一体何者や。
まあわしは大方目星ついとるけどな。
知っとるんか。誰なんや。
Nishitani felt comfortable when he is in the joint because it seems like the cop owned him a lot. Majima asked if he knew anything about the white suit man. Nishitani knew who the man that Majima described because he believed that person was a third party that was also involved in Makoto's situation. Before Nishitani gave us the information on the white suit man, he wanted to fight with Majima for the second time to make up that climax at the Grand. Majima, without any question, accept his request.
ってやつやな。お望み通り、とことんしばき倒したるわ。甘いで、真面目に。
Afterward, they talk about who is the third party involvement. Nishitani said they called themselves the Nikkyo Consortium, basically a shadow group or an underground organization to the Tojo clan. Nishitani took a few guesses, saying the man that captured Makoto was none other than Masaru Sera.
なんで登場界の勢力が2つも誠狙っとんねん。
2つ
Majima order came from his boss Shimano. Sera order came from Nikkyo Consortium or Tojo clan itself. And Nishitani order came from a Dojima lieutenant, Shibusawa. All three of them are orders that came from Tojo clan by different families that are looking for Makoto, leaving Majima and Nishitani not being sure why or what the reason behind it. Nishitani wants Majima to team up with him together to bring back Makoto and to help Majima ditch Sagawa so that he can come work with Nishitani instead, but Majima rejects his offer. Majima wants to take responsibility for Makoto's life. He wants to protect her until she can finally be able to live a normal life no matter what. He truly cares about her. Despite they both still haven't gotten to know each other much, and still remain a stranger. Nishitani understands Majima and related to his story. After that, Nishitani told her that Nikkyo Consortium is hiding in a place called Camellia Grove, set up in Bentin Inn. Majima wants Nishitani to know that he won't give Makoto when he finds her. And Nishitani says that Majima and him can work things out later on. And so, the two leave the cell. Suddenly, Billy King got shot by none other than that cop. He was yapping nonsense, but he said that if he destroyed Majima, Billy King and Nishitani, which could be an order from someone in a dojo, they'll pay more than what Billy King paid him for his daughter's college. He took the money over loyalty. Nishitani, without hesitation, protect Majima from being shot by becoming his shield. Despite many shots, he told Majima to run and go save Makoto.
Makoto っちゅう女生かした責任きっちりと取らんかい行けやマジ
While Nishitani teach that cop a lesson for betraying his own uncle and Nishitani for money. Majima is still shocked by what just happened to Nishitani, but nonetheless, he listened to Nishitani's voice and run off in panic. While running in panic, he got caught by Sagawa. Sagawa clearly didn't like the idea of Majima running off Sotenbori without him knowing. Majima tells everything that Nishitani told him. The guy in the white suit had nothing to do with Nishitani, and this white suit guy, aka Sera, who captured Makoto, is from the Nikkyo Consortium. Right after Majima reported everything to Sagawa, he immediately told Majima to come with him to find Makoto together, and so the two took a trip to Camellia Grove.
Warina, ばあさん。俺たちはお目当ての子がいるんだ。
拙者やな。どこ行きはんの？
あそこだ。
弁天屋。あそこに誠が。
西谷の話が正しければそういうことになるな。
待っとれよ、誠。
Majima and Sagawa talking about the plan to get Makoto, and the two split up so they could find Makoto more easily and cover more ground. While Majima was going to find Makoto, he was stopped by the Nikkyo ducks, wanting him to go back and not allowing him to reach any further. Majima at this point didn't give a single crap, so he go ball out on these ducks. Once the long battle ends, Majima reaches to the top of the inn, and Sera is waiting for him to be there. Sera was impressed with how Majima was able to deal with his thugs, making him the reason why Shimano was his favorite. When Majima asked where Makoto is, Sera simply said that she was handled by someone else to keep her safe. Majima wanted to know who it is, but Sera said not to rush things up and want him to know that he's not Majima's enemies. But Sera wanted to know the reason why Majima was so determined to protect Makoto without knowing what she's worth. Majima simply says,
俺は誠の価値なんか。
そう、お前は知らない。じゃあ、なぜ危険を冒してまでここにたどり着いた？あの女に惚れたってことか？まさかな。
お前が俺の何を知っとんねん。俺が人助けたらあかんのか。
Majima just wanted to protect her no matter what. Sera understands Majima, but before he tells where she is, he wanted to test his resolve to see if Makoto is worth being handled to Majima. Majima accepts the test.
俺も手っ取り早いんは言葉より拳や。ええや。やったるわ。
After defeating Sera, you know Majima's determination to protect Makoto wasn't a joke at all. Sera reveals the person under Makoto protection is a real estate agent, which we don't know who or what's his name. Sera also tells Majima the reason why everybody from the Tojo clan was gunning for Makoto, because she was gifted the empty lot ownership. And that empty lot is worth billion, trillion, gazillion yen, I don't know. And whoever owned that land will have the power to control everything. I think so. Which also is the Kamurocho revitalization project. Majima is pissed off about how Tojo clan have gone to crap ever since he's gone. Majima asks what the real estate agent name is and where's the address. Sera said that he need to trust him because he guaranteed this agent will keep her safe without needing for Majima to be there himself. But if he cannot convince Sera to trust him,
もしも俺を信用できないんなら、その銃で俺を撃ち殺せ。不動産屋の名刺は胸のポケットに入ってる。死体から取って持ってけ。俺はお前を信用して話した。あとはお前が俺を信用するかどうかだ。
Majima decided to trust Sera, but before Sera was able to talk, he got shot by Sagawa from the back. He took the card from Sera's pocket and gave it to Majima. He now knows who was behind Makoto protection.
立花不動産桐生一馬
Sagawa now knows where she located. He wanted to let Majima out of his cage, Sotenbori, so that they can both head to Kamurocho to find Makoto together. Majima, without any choice left, he followed Sagawa to Kamurocho.
女を追いかけて殺すぞ。俺とお前でな。
Ah, Kamurocho, a colorful place filled with narrow streets and vibrant neon signs. It's designed to emulate the 1980 Tokyo nightlife, offering a mix of city back alleys, entertainment venue, shop and restaurants. The map dense layout of tons of neon signs, making the exploration more immersive. It captured the lively atmosphere of a red light district. Upon returning, Majima tells Sagawa that he hasn't found any lead about Makoto whereabouts with the business card. Majima asks why didn't he also help him out fighting her. He says that he is an army and is not allowed to do any business in Kamurocho. Majima also said why he didn't call Shimano for help. Sagawa said that he doesn't want to show any weaknesses to his brother because this operation was between the Omi and Shimano. Shimano planned to sell the Tocho clan out and selling the empty lot for 10 billion yen. So when the time comes, they will have to work out how they can split Kamurocho. If he succeeds, Sagawa will become the leader in Kamurocho when everything is done. Although he still didn't know why Shimano want him and Majima to take down Makoto, but he knows that Shimano is the mastermind when it's come to his plan and plot. Anyway, Sagawa says that if he couldn't find any lead, he told him to come to the Champion District to find information about the Tachibana real estate. When he gets there, the resident says that they haven't seen them for the last few days, but it's now filled with Yakuza sharks. When Majima head outside, he was greeted by a bunch of Shimano thugs. They said they were curious why Majima was in Kamurocho without any permission from the boss himself. Majima doesn't seem to care what they are saying, so they started attacking him, knowing that they stand no chance against him. After beating up the thug, Shimano veteran group shows up saying that Majima should cut some slack for the young blood for rudeness and want to escort Majima to Shimano because he wants to see him. Majima agreed to follow and meet up his boss.
何遠慮しとるんや、真島。少し身内に酒あかんようなったんか。
Sagawa also shows up from the sudden invitation. Shimano wants to know why Majima and him is in Kamurocho. Sagawa couldn't hide it anymore, so he told the truth that they lost the girl and Makoto fled to Sotenbori and is now in the hands of the group called Tachibana Real Estate. But Shimano, out of nowhere, said this.
せやけど安心せえ。全部わしの計画のうちや。
Sagawa and Majima didn't understand why he said that, but the reason why Shimano sends Majima to take her down because he knew exactly Majima couldn't do it and will try to hide the girl and keep her somewhere safe, all according to his plan. Because Shimano worries that if the Dojima have the girl, that will make him the chairman, which is bad in Shimano's eyes. Majima now understand that Shimano is using him to fight against Dojima, like fighting in the shadow or like a ghost, I don't know. And also grow Makoto trust in Majima, and eventually she will do anything Majima says. That means whatever order Shimano gives to Majima, he will talk to Makoto and she will listen to him no matter what. Shimano also said that Sera is still kicking and running around Kamurocho. The spy Sagawa shot him from the back. Shimano tells Majima that he don't have to take down Makoto anymore, but instead, his new order is to get her back from Tachibana Real Estate and bring her to him. He's going to buy the empty lock from her, and if he succeeds, he will be back in Tocho clan and throw in the girl as his bonus. Majima is speechless and depressed of what Shimano just said. Shimano had pulled his strings throughout the events of him and Makoto, and all the crap he has been through. And now, he don't know what to do next. While walking, some low-level thug mocking Majima and start throwing punch at him. Majima doesn't seem to care at this point, and he let them punch him anyway. Majima realized being depressed like this won't get him anywhere, and his priority is to find Makoto. He goes to the Kazuma family office, hoping to find Nishikiyama, so he could tell where Kiryu is. In the office, he asks where Nishikiyama is, and he wants to meet him. But Kazuma Ruki doesn't want to tell where he is. Before they are about to throw hands, Kashiwagi come in and refuse to give Majima any information about Nishiki and Kiryu. Kashiwagi wanted to fight Majima, not in the office but on the roof. So the two head to the top of the roof, and it feels like Kashiwagi has been waiting for a long time to get a chance to fight Majima in a one-on-one, and so the two fight. After defeating Kashiwagi, suddenly one of the Kazuma men shows up on the roof, terrifying about what just happened, and threatening him. If he didn't talk about where Nishikiyama is, things would get worse for Kashiwagi. So he tells him that Nishiki usually hang out in a place called Serena, and so Majima heads to Serena. Majima takes a sit inside, and before the guy in the red crimson suit was about to leave, Majima talked to the bartender if she has ever seen a guy named Nishikiyama. Suddenly, the guy in the red crimson suit stops walking and says that what if he is Nishikiyama? Majima said, if you're him, surely you know where Makoto and the guy who named Kiryu is.
登場界に復帰したってことですか、真島さん。
まだや。
だったらなんで牧村誠を追ってんだ。
あの子を守るためって言うたら信じてくれるか。
何？
お前の兄弟分はどこや。牧村誠どこに隠しとる。
錦山君、
お前じゃ俺には勝てん。
笑わせんな。会ったばかりで俺の何がわかんだよ。
今ので何もわからんようやからお前は俺に勝てんのや。
あんたも分かっちゃいねえよ。あんたの目に俺がどう映ってんのか知らねえが、俺は死んでも兄弟を売る男じゃねえ。
なるほど、そういうことかいな。
確かにあんたは強えらしい。それでも俺は引くわけにはいかねえんだよ。
After defeating Nishiki, despite being hurt, Nishiki still didn't want to talk about it. Reina, the bartender, didn't want him to get hurt, so he tells him that Makoto Makimura is also gone, disappeared. Even Kiryu doesn't even know where she is either. Apparently, Kiryu and Nishiki were also looking for her too, right after her brother was gone. Majima didn't know Makoto has a brother, and it turned out to be that Her brother is also the president of Tachibana Real Estate, and we get to know more about why Makoto in Sotenbori and why his brother came over to Japan.
二人は中国残留孤児の2世で10年前に中国で生き別れてる。一人で日本に密航してきた立花は後から妹も来日してたと知って彼女を探してた。牧村誠の方もずっと兄貴を探していたらしい。彼女が蒼天堀にいたのはそこに立花がいると思ってたからだ。あんたさっきあの子を守るために探してるって言ったな。あれ本当なのか？
ああ。
Asking Majima to help him and Kiryu out on this, but Majima silently leaves Serena. Majima head to the empty lock so he could find some clues about her because he knows that Makoto inherited the land from her grandfather.
これが殻の一つを。お前
誠なんやろ。そないなとこで何してるんやお前。誠？
あなたにはまた会えると思ってた。
お前見えとるんか？お前見えとるんか？
なんとか街を歩ける程度にはね。あなたがそこにいるってことくらいは見える。
どないなっとんねん。
今日あの殻の一坪で兄と10年ぶりに会った。でもその時私は目が見えなかったし、兄はもう殺されてた。その兄の体に触れた時ね、ずっと見えなかった目が光を感じ始めたの。
そんなことがあるんか？
兄の顔はどんなに顔を近づけてもはっきりとは分からなかった。分かったのはひどい拷問を受けて殺されたこと。堂島組のヤクザたちが兄をあんな土地のせいで。
まさか復讐なんて考えなや。やけになるな。事情が変わったんや。俺の雇い主はもうお前を殺さん言うとる。 今のそいつの狙いはお前の命じゃない。あの土地をお前から買い取ることなんや。せやからそいつに会うて土地手放したらもう誰にも狙われんようになる。安心せえ、俺が一緒におる。何があっても必ず守ったる。
私のことなんかどうでもいい。私には死んでもやらなきゃいけないことがある。もしあなたが私を助けたいと思うなら手を貸して。兄を殺したのは殻の一粒を狙うヤクザたち、堂島組の3人の幹部、そして堂島宗平。
俺にそいつらを殺せっちゅうんか。
お金なら払える。10億で足りる？もともと私のことも殺そうとしたんでしょ。お願いだからあいつらを殺して。きっとあなたは兄がそのために私と出会わせてくれたんだよ。だったら兄は私が仇を討つのを望んでるってことでしょ。
お前の兄貴がそんな男のわけないやろが。待てよ。
ほっといて。もう一人で平気だから。
誠、
ほっといて。
なあ、たこ焼き食いかんか？たこ焼きや。それ食った後でまだほっとけ言うんやったら俺はそこで消えたる。
またお腹が空いてるから落ち込むんだっていうの。
あかんか？
いいよ。でも食べたらもう私に構わないで。
その話は食ってからにしろや。
Makoto apparently got her vision back, but she can only see a bit, which is still a bit hazy and blurry, because she's still half blind and can see people's face clearly. So the two chat and walk together to get some takoyaki.
足元気ぃつけや。まだよう見えてへんのやろ。ようそんなんで街中歩けたな。怪我してへんか？
大丈夫だから。
どういうこっちゃ？
どうかしたの？
やたこ焼き屋に人がめっちゃ並んどる。
そう。あ、そういえば私さっき屋台を見かけたかも。
屋台ってたこ焼きんか？
多分匂いがそんな感じだったから。
どこで見たんや？
なんか広場みたいなところ。周りに大きな建物がいっぱいあった。
この辺りで広場言うたら劇場前広場やろか。ほなそっちに行ってみようか。
%だって。
え？
雪の確率天気予報で言ってた。
そっか、道理で寒いわけや。さあ振られる前に早よ行こうか。
たこ焼きの屋台この辺りだった気がする。
そうか、ほな探してみるか。
ありがとう。走らないでくれて。
気にすんなや。ただちょっと走り疲れただけや。せやからちゃんとはぐれんでついてきや。
遊んでいきませんか？
段差気ぃつけや。2つくれや。
はいよ。
はよしてや。
はいはい。優しいんだね。
うるさいわ。
いい人じゃないね。
ぐだぐだ言うとらんとさっさと焼けや。
いい人です。私なんかのために大変な目にあってもまだ私を助けようとしてくれる。この人がいなかったら今頃もう私は美味しそうですね。いい匂い。
そうでしょ。よし、おまけでもう一つサービスしちゃう。
本当ですか？
While the boat was eating at the park, she mentioned before, she asked Majima that she wanted to revenge her brother by destroying the 3 Dojima lieutenants because they took down her brother, and she wanted him to help her revenge. Majima is speechless and worried about Makoto's request, knowing that this isn't her at all. Majima asks how is she planning on getting revenge on the Dojima family. She doesn't tell him anything, but Majima wants her to rethink and reconsider her decision, because if she messes with the Dojima family, he can't tell or imagine what is going to happen to Makoto. Makoto wants to buy another takoyaki, but Majima insists because she knows she's still half blind, so he'll go to get her another takoyaki. Upon returning, Makoto is gone, and a homeless man shows up sending Makoto a message to Majima that to meet her at the roof above the empty lock tomorrow at 5. Majima heads to the roof at 5, still waiting for Makoto.
どこほっつき歩いとんねん、誠。
Out of nowhere, a group of Yakuza came to the roof. He learns that this group of Yakuza came from the Shibusawa family and also was the group that responsible for Nishitani's death. They said that Makoto reached out to Shibusawa by herself so she could make a deal with him and her land. Majima asked the thug where is she. They didn't seem to give him the answer. Majima knows she's in danger, and you can tell his anger is released from this line alone.
あの子はどこにおんねや。
After defeating Shibusawa thugs, they reveal that Makoto is on the roof of the Sebastian building, making a deal with the Dojima family. Majima rushed into a cab to get to the Sebastian building. Upon arriving, Majima fights his way through a bunch of goons who blocking the entrance. When he manages to get through the door,
なんやこれは。
何しとるんやお前。
誠。己ら全員地獄に送ったらぶっ殺したら。生きとる。おい誠、聞こえるか。しっかりせえ。おい、俺が分からんのか。返事せえや誠。
ごめんなさい。
誠、
私だけじゃ何もできなかった。またあなたに迷惑。
もう喋らんでええ。
お願い聞いて。あなたの手下の首を3つ私の前に並べてください、堂島組長。それが殻の一つをお譲りする条件です。
可愛い子分の首で土地を買えと。俺がその条件を飲むと思うのか、お嬢さん。
あなたが条件を飲まなければそれはそれで構いません。その時は他の方に土地を売るだけです。
なるほど。ただ俺が思うにだ、あの殻の一坪って土地は少し過大評価されすぎている。あんたは知らんだろうが、あの一坪は周りの地上げが相当進んだ時に偶然見つかった土地だ。町のど真ん中にあんな端切れの土地があるなんてことはお役所でさえ気づいてなかった。
それが
そのまま知らなかったことにして再開発計画を進めることもできる。
え？
だが 再開発が進んだ後になってあの土地の所有権を主張されるとまずい。裁判でも起こされりゃ大事だ。再開発は白紙になる可能性も高い。でも逆に言えば土地の所有者が妙に騒ぎ立てさえしなけりゃ役人もヤクザも困りゃしねえってことだ。あの土地の相続権持ってんのはもうこの世にあんた一人しかいない。権利関係調べ上げたがようやくその裏が取れた。女子供だろうがヤクザをなめちゃいけねえな。
私は本当にバカで世間知らずだからの一坪があればうまくやれるって私にはそれしかないから。
分かっとる。もうええ。や
るしかなかったの。
くそ、誰かこの子を。
マジマ
セラ、
何があった？撃たれてる。すぐに運べ。この人を死なせるな。
どこに連れてくんや？
安心しろ。お前も来い。あの子を助けたかったら今俺を信用しろ。それともお前一人で女を助けられるか？
誠、おい聞こえるか？死ぬんやない。復讐でも何でもお前の望みを俺が叶えとるから。せやから頼む。いつまでかかっとるんや。終わったんか？手術はどないやった？
失礼ですが、あなたは？
あの子をここに連れてきたもんや。
大丈夫。手術は成功です。ただまだ意識が戻ってません。もしかしたらこのまま目を覚まさないかもしれません。
何やと？
という状況よ。世良さん。
セラ。
真島、牧村誠の場所を移す。ここは危険だ。堂島組に彼女が生きていることが知れれば間違いなくとどめを刺しに来る。守りきれん。
せやったらどこへ？
少なくともここよりは安全な場所だ。先生にも付き添ってもらう。お前も一緒に来るか？
俺があの子のそばでできることは もう何もないやろ。セラ、誠を頼む。俺にはあの子の代わりにやらなあかんことがある。これ以上あの子を黒の世界に踏み込ませたらあかんのや。堂島組がおる限りあの子は意識が戻ったとしてもまた狙われる。せやから俺が全部しまいにしたる。
お前まさか堂島と差し違えるとでも言うのか。
先生もあの子を頼むで。なんとか手尽くしてあいつの目を覚ましたってくれや。
マジマ。
おお、ちょっと無視かよ。ほら、
なんだよ、忘れちまったのか俺らのこと。
あんまり偉そうに街歩いてっとまたボコボコにしまぞ。
俺らに会ったらちゃんと頭下げてけよ。ま、とりあえず挨拶代わりに財布置いてけや、兄ちゃん。なんだよ、ブルっちまって声も出ねえか。
てめえ！
ごめんなさい。すいません。すいません。
チンピラ相手に何やってんだよ、真島ちゃん。お前に遊んでる暇なんかあったかよ。女は見つかったか。
遊んどるわけやない。俺にはこれから行かなあかんとこがあるんや。
へえ、どこ行くんだ。
堂島組や。
堂島組？おい、どういうことだ。女は堂島組にいるのか。
牧村誠は堂島組の殺し屋に撃たれた。
何？
島野の親父に言うとけや。殻の一坪はもう誰のもんでもない。闇に葬られたんや。
おい、どうなってんだよ真島。はっきりしろ。女は死んでるのか。
手離せや。俺はもう誰の命令も聞かん。
お前、
あの子のことはもうほっといたれ。これ以上手出すんやったら島野の親父野郎が殺すで。俺は。
お前まさか堂島組に行くって。堂島をやる気か、たった一人で。女一人のために狂っちまったな、真島ちゃん。狂犬みてえな顔してるぜ。
Goro Majima finally break off his leash and destroy his case. This is where the Mad Dog of Shimano was born.
What? 誠から伝言預かってきたおせっかいな殺し屋じゃ。
この野郎ちまちま増えてきよって、そんなんで俺は止まらへんぞ。
こいつやべえぞ、いいからしまってる。
いい加減にしとけよこのガキ。お前ら下っ端の首は数に入らんねえ。さっさとどかんかいボケが。
After teaching the hordes of Dojima-gun to not to stand in his way, Majima made Awano, which was the one of the lieutenant that appears on top of the Sebastian building. Majima mocked him for being a shield to Dojima. Awano tells Majima that money is everything nowadays, saying he's just a Yakuza from the past who don't understand the present and the future. Awano joined the Yakuza because he loved hitting people, but now he thinks that money is more important and easier than hitting people. Majima didn't want to hear any yapping from him because he'll end anybody who hurt Makoto and stand in his way. He makes sure of it.
安心せえや。堂島組のお仲間も 後からまとめてあの世に送ってるわ。
After defeating Awano, praised him that if only he was more focused with his fighting rather than money, those fists could take him to the top. Awano said that because of Kazuma is around, he couldn't even get a sniff to get to the top, but he admired Majima and wishes to be like him. Majima said this.
俺かてそないバカ正直に生きてきたわけやない。せやけどな、俺の周りにはバカに生きてバカに死んでった男たちがおった。そいつらのくだらん生き方が俺は男の最高の生き様やと気がついたんや。
ラッキーなんだな。
天野、お前か。
何やってんだてめえよ。男二人腹割ってる時によ、部外者余計な真似してんじゃねえぞほら。島野が始末したはずの男がこうまで俺に盾ついてくるとはな。マジバ、おかげで阿波野も使い物にならなくなっちまった。島野も消さなきゃならねえ。面倒ばかりだ。
堂島宗平、
そこにいる男は体力で一番金がかかる殺し屋だ。そいつに仕事を受けさせるルートと金がある限り、俺は誰だろうが好きにやれる。力ってのはこういうもんだ。
お前らだけはもう 何があっても死んでもらわな収まらんのや。せやないとあの子は黒い闇から逃れられん。
ラオグエイ、油断するなよ。
地獄の底まで引きずり込んだるわ、堂島。
なんだと。
まだ終わったらんやろがボケ。おとなしく待っとれや。こっちはもうすぐ済む。そん次がお前や。マジマ
セラ
そいつらを 殺すのか真島。
当たり前や。こいつらがおる限りあの子はいつまでも狙われるんや。全部しまいにするにはここで殺すしかないやろが。殺すんや。俺がこいつらを誠の代わりに。
彼女がそれを知ったら苦しむだろうな。
何？
感謝するかもしれん、謝るかもしれん。だがいずれ彼女は必ず苦しむ。冴島大河が18人殺した罪を背負った時のお前と同じ苦しみを味わうことになる。彼女は自分の手がきれいなままなのはお前が代わりに手を汚したおかげだとそう気づく。自分のために人殺しになった者へ償う方法はこの世にない。お前はあの娘に償いきれない貸しを作る気か。
こんなクソボケが！せやったら俺はどないしたらええんや。こいつら殺してもあの子を救うことにならん言うんやったらどないせっちゅんじゃ。
もう終わったんだ真島。牧村誠は意識を取り戻した。今風間組の柏木たちが病院に移送してる。
誠が意識を？
何言ってる。女が生きているのか。バカな。それじゃあ殻の一粒はあの土地はどうなった？
堂島さん、殻の一粒はもう彼女の手を離れました。うちが新しい土地の所有者です。1000億も出してもらえりゃあなたに売っても構いませんがね。
何？
堂島組の時代は終わったってことです。カムロ町再開発の莫大な利権は殻の一粒を持つ人間にしか動かせん。これで堂島組一強だった東上界の勢力図は大きく書き換わる。
くだらん話はええ。あんたは俺にこいつらを殺すな言うんか。
その殺し屋は堂島の命令で何人も殺してきた。堂島の急所を握る生き証人だ。警察にもその情報は流しておいた。
そしたら殺に突き出すだけで済ませろっちゅうんか。
俺はそこまで甘くはない。その殺し屋の身柄は日教連で隠し持つ。東上界最強と言われる堂島組をこの俺が裏から操る切り札としてな。それにその殺し屋はここで楽に殺すより死ぬまで例の穴蔵にでも閉じ込める方がいいだろう。よくこらえたな真島。牧村誠にとって堂島組はもう脅威じゃない。お前が彼女を救った。
よう言うわ。あんたも俺を栄養に利用したっちゅうわけか。島野の親父と同じように。
ここに来たらたまたまお前が一人で堂島組を潰してたってことだ。俺にそんなこと想像できるわけがない。 真島、まだ片付いてないことがある。お前の親父島野に一つ伝言を頼めるか。お前が奴に登場会を裏切ったけじめをつけさせろ。
何やと。
Upon arriving to Shimano office to send the message, he tells Sakawa that Sera had the empty lock and their plan is ruined. Sakawa asks if he's going to take down Shimano, which Majima does not respond back. So he heads inside the office and see Shimano is drinking with a lieutenant of the Omi, probably discussing about the deal of the empty lock. Majima headed in and said this.
伝言を預かってきました。ほう。登場会内部に関西と通じてる裏切り者がおるそうです。殻の一粒を近江連合に売ろうとしたその人間を島の組で突き止めてほしいと。
そんな話ようのこのこ言いに来たな、真島。
セラは親父に身の潔白を証明してほしいと言うてます。
おもろいやないか。
せやけど俺は何があっても親父の子ですわ。
せやったらお前わしの身代わりになって死ぬこともできるな。
ええ。ただ一つだけお願いがあります。冴島の兄弟に俺が謝っていたと伝えてください。
これがわしの答えや。セラに言うとけ。殻の一坪も近江の本部長もわしには何の関わりもない。
Because this is how he showed the loyalty he had with the clan. Shimano give Majima some wisdom.
教えといたる。ただのし上がりたいだけやったら目先のことだけ考えとったらええ。せやけどてっぺん取る気なんやったら勝ち方を考えなあかん。三日天下やないほんまの天下の取り方をな。風間と日教連の時代は長くは続かん。10年後は島の組が天下取ってるはずや。真島五郎中最強の武器が手に入ったんやからの。
Because he know with Majima on Shimano's side, he can get anywhere he want, even to the top of the clan.
なあ、真島。
A few days after the events, we get to see who Majima really is.
グランドで働いてた頃の控えめさはどこ行ったんだ。
ほっとけや。俺は決めたんや。何が正しくて何が悪いかわからんこの町で誰よりも楽しく誰よりも狂った生き方したるってな。
はあ、お前はもっと地味な男だと思っていたが、まあ それも悪くねえ。まあお前とは妙な体験しちまったが、これからは同業として陰ながら応援すんぜ。関西で暴れたい時は連絡よこせ。
そんなもんいらん。できることならもうあんたとは死ぬまで会わんでいたいもんや。
確かにな。まあお互い敵も多い身だ。せいぜい死なないように頑張ろうぜ。
あんたは死んでも死なんやろ。
そうだな。
ほな、またな。大きにやで、佐賀。
は？何言ってんだお前。
あんたは何があっても諦めへん。執着心の塊のような男や。あんたには諦めんことの重要さを教わったわ。俺も執着するで。真島五郎っちゅう男の生き方に。
好きにしろ。あの世で待ってるぜ、真島ちゃん。はあ、ずいぶん早いお迎えだね。さ、俺も行くか。なあ。
もう構わないで。
話くらい聞いてくれたっていいじゃんねえ。
君らもお金好きでしょ。女の子だから得できるいい仕事いっぱい紹介するよ。
しつこいです。いい加減にして。
そうカリカリしなさんなって。
そうそう、お茶でも飲みながらさ。ささ
やめて。
あんたちょっとやりすぎじゃねえか。
こりゃ障害っつんだぜ。落とし前つけてもらわねえとな。
話なら聞く。その代わり私一人で。
面白え。よしお前は行け。
待ってて、すぐに助け呼んでくるから。
あんた根性あるじゃねえか。気に入っちまったぜ。話はホテルで手取り足取りじっくり聞いてもらいてえな。この甘下手に出てりゃ息になりやがって。兄貴。
なんです？
どうです？こいついい女でしょ。楽しませてもらってからビデオに撮りゃいい金になりますよ。そうだ、兄貴もお時間あればご一緒に。姉ちゃん、遊びはここまでだ。 この人誰だと思ってんだ？あ？天下のマジ。
え？君はここに。
先生、でも先生。
あんた誠さんに何する気だ？
あ、違うんです。違う
今すぐ彼女から離れろ。
の、この人は助けてくれて。
お前の女か？
いや、彼女は私の患者だ。
なんや先生って、医者かいな。惚れとんのか？
何？
どうなんや。
何よ急に。
そのげんこつがそう言うとる。でも男が一旦げんこつこしらえたら、そのけじめは取るもんや。どうなんや先生。
お前、彼女に指一本でも触れたら。
喧嘩なら相手が悪いで。あんたは人殴ったらあかん。それにけじめのつけ方は喧嘩だけやない。けじめつけてくれや、俺のためにも。
あんたの？
ええからさっさと答えんかい。
彼女はああ見えてついこの間までずっと目が見えなかった。だから彼女にはまだ周囲に慣れる時間が必要で。
で、どないやねん。惚れとんのか惚れとらんのか。
愛している。医者としてではなく、一人の男として。
俺は嘘が大嫌いやで。
嘘じゃない。彼女に話したことさえないが。
ならはよ言うてやらんかい。で、そばでちゃんと見とけや。しっかりせえ。
大丈夫でしたか？何かされたんじゃ。
何も、全然平気です。
そうか、よかった。あの人、悲しそうな目をしてたな。でも先生、あの人と何を話してたんですか？
いや、そうだ。今から少し話する時間ないかな。
はい。
全部終わったよ。もうだからゆっくり休んでね、お兄ちゃん。私ね、たくさんの人に助けられた。リーさんや桐生さん、セラさん、本当にたくさん。でも一人だけまだお礼を言えていない人がいるの。ずっと一緒にいたのにその人の名前も知らない。顔だっておぼろげにしか見てない。ほんとダメだよね、私って。お兄ちゃんがこんなこと言われても困っちゃうか。ごめん。私のありがとう。ありがとう。
よう桐生ちゃん。
Goro Majima is the only video game character that changed my life completely, inspiring me to rethink about my life. It's not about strong or hit wild personality, it's like a mad dog or anything, but it is about how much crazy bullcrap events he been through just to protect a single person, the one he loved, with bravery and strength. Throughout the story, Majima taught me what it means to be strong, to be brave, and to always be ready to stand up for the people I love and cares about, no matter who or what I'm up against. I may not be physically strong like him in video game, but that doesn't matter. I know that I will always be there for my loved ones, ready to protect them with everything I've got. whether it's my friend, family, or someone special. Before Majima's story, I was a different person. I was scared, awkward, and constantly afraid of everything around me. I didn't have the courage to face anything at all. And there were times where I would run away and leaving others behind instead of standing my ground. I was trapped in a circle of fears and insecurity, and it made me feel worthless and useless, like I wasn't truly living. But Majima taught me that fears and running away is the most cowardly way to prove myself that I'm alive. It gave me the motivation to hit the gym and start working out on becoming strong, not just for myself, but for those I cares about. And that's why Majima's story made me learn to become strong and brave. Thank you for watching. Although I'm not really good when it comes to do these type of video, but I do hope you guys like them. I might do Kirihito's story if this video get around like maybe 2k like, I don't know. Once again, I would like to thank Draclus for fixing my grammar and script, G Galactic for giving me permission to use her amazing Yakuza 0 fan tracks, and Martyrs for making Yakuza 0 becoming an enjoyable experience for me. And also, thank you Sega, especially RGG Studio, for making one of the best game ever made. Yakuza 0 is truly a masterpiece.